It is a beautiful day in Atlanta to watch the ACC on ESPN. The number 14 Miami Hurricanes have come to town to take on the triple option attack of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets inside Bobby Dodd Stadium at historic Grant Field. It's the first conference game of the season for the Canes. They are 3-0, but players and coaches all say they've only played teams they should have beaten so far. Tech is 3-1, 1-1 in the conference. How will they rebound from a beatdown they suffered from Clemson last week? It's a rematch of very familiar head coaches. Mark Richt met Georgia Tech many times before as the Georgia head coach, but now in his first year leading his alma mater, Miami. And Paul Johnson has led Georgia Tech to first or second place finishes in the ACC Coastal Division in 6 of his 8 previous seasons here. They continue in pursuit of another spot in the conference championship game, continuing today. I'm Alan Bestwood, College Football Hall of Famer. Coach Mike Bellotti joins me. Chris Budden will report from the field in a moment. Really 2 questions in this one, Mike. Is Miami for real, and how does Tech respond to that Clemson defeat?
Well, Tech last week wanted more rambling and got more wreck, and the reality is they've got to fix that. Miami has beaten the people they need to beat. They've scored an unbelievable amount of points. They've played great defense, but we have to question the competition. We're going to find out today, Alan, answers to both questions.
Georgia Tech has won the toss, wearing their home white jerseys with the old gold helmets and pants they have elected to receive. Miami wearing the green jerseys for the first and only time this season. J.J. Green fields the ball 5 yards deep into the end zone. He will kneel, and the Tech triple option offense will go to work from the 25-yard line. Their quarterback is the 5th-year senior Justin Thomas out of Prattville, Alabama, just 48 yards shy of 2,000 career rushing yards, a big milestone.
He's a 3-year captain, a quiet leader. He's a very good passer, but last week had no time. They're hoping to give him more time, and they've got to get the running game on track, and he's the key.
So the Tech triple option featuring the 2 running backs they label the B back and the A back, the B being the fullback set directly behind Thomas. It'll be that B back, Dedrick Mills, and he gets nothing against this Miami defensive front. Kedrick Norton led the charge, number 7.
Every triple option team starts with the dive, and the defense knows you've got to stop the dive or they're going to run it all day long.
So a second down, and they gave him a couple, so second down and 2 with the forward, and 8 rather, after the 2-yard forward progress. Again, up the center to Dedrick Mills, the young freshman from Waycross, Georgia, who has been pretty solid in his first few games for the Ramblin' Wreck. The season so far, of course, the big late rally to win their opener against Boston College over in Dublin. Big win over Vanderbilt, but then that very difficult game against Clemson last week, and now a 3rd and 6 here for the Jackets.
And this is not the position they like. They'd rather be 3rd and 1, 2, or 3. 3rd and long scares them a little bit. It's not their motif.
Thomas to throw, near side, complete for a first down. Hits Brad Stewart, and they're out across the 35 to the 38-yard line.
And that's a much better start. They want to control the football today via the run primarily, but they want to protect their passer. Justin Thomas got time that time. He's a very accurate passer when not under extreme pressure.
So no huddle right to the line of scrimmage for Tech. Now they'll check with the sideline. We expect to see a variety of tempos and huddles and not huddling from them today.
They're going to be no huddle, but they spend a lot of time making sure they get in the right play, counting numbers.
Thomas pulls, no place to go at the pitch. Well played by the Miami defense. Trent Harris, 33, had him all the way.
When we talk about the triple option, as we've talked about before, we always say it starts with the dive, the fullback dive or B-back dive in this case. The quarterback keeper comes off of that, and the big play is the pitch to the tailback in space, because that could be a huge play, risk reward. Potential fumble, potential big play.
There's the pitch. Mills Rogers with some running space. And he's out almost to midfield before he's stopped by Cornelder with a nice open field tackle.
Miami, one of the difficult things for them is finding the speed and tempo with which Georgia Tech is going to play. You depend on your scout team to give you a look. The scout team can never do it as well as you're going to see it in the game from a team like Georgia Tech. So you got to be able to react and then tackle in space after defeating some blocks.
Miami's got 3 true freshman linebackers who've never seen this triple option attack before.
They have to learn to play fast. They have to learn to trust their eyes and make sure their gap and assignment sound.
Thomas buried.
Or you can just say, let's go blow it up instead.
Very nice. Gerald Willis there to make the stop for the Canes.
When you defend the option, especially Georgia Tech, we talked about canceling the dive, chip the offensive tackle. Don't let the tackle get up to block the linebackers unmolested. And then finally, rally, get a lot of population around the pitch.
So loss of 2 puts Tech behind the chains again on this series. They were behind the chains after first down in the last one, but still managed to move the sticks. Thomas will keep. Well pursued from the far side behind. Good tackle by Demetrius Jackson, who came around from the far defensive end.
Once again, 3rd and long, 7+ or more is not what Georgia Tech wants. They want to get to those 3rd manageables where they can run the football. Right now, Miami doing a good job of forcing him a 3rd and long, but must stop him in this situation.
Georgia Tech a little less than 45% converting on 3rd down so far this season. 1 for 1 in this game. Let's see if they can do it again. Near side, Clinton Lynch have a nice gain, but he's going to be stopped shy of the line to gain, and there are 2 flags on the field. And let's check the penalty.
Personal foul, illegal block below the waist. On the offense, number 70, 15-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's Will Bryan, the sophomore left guard.
Watch him right here. Watch him come out to the left side, and he's going to block once he gets outside the box there, outside the tackle. Well, that was tough, but he got his head down below the knee, strike there below the waist, and that's going to be watched very, very much today. You talk about anytime you're playing a triple option team, there's a lot of cut blocking that occurs in the tackle box, from tackle to tackle. Outside that box, it is illegal.
So if you thought it was 3rd and long before, comes back near side, hooking inside to make the grab. It's Lance Davis, but Miami on top of that one, and it'll bring up 4th down for the Jackets.
Did a nice job of getting pressure on the quarterback. That was a screen play, and the corresponding linebackers and DBs involved in coverage came up and stopped that screen before it got started. Once again, Georgia Tech does not want to be 3rd and 1,000,000. They've got to control the line of scrimmage a little bit better on the early downs, 1st down, to get to manageable 3rd downs.
So Ryan Rodwell, the 5th-year senior punter from DeLand, Florida, is on for Georgia Tech. Braxton Berrios is back deep to receive for Miami. He does have a punt return for a touchdown this year. Good kick. He'll take that one back on his 10. And good coverage by Tech, knocking down after a 5-yard return. Jalen Johnson with the tackle. Brad Kaya and the Cane offense on the field when we come back. Scoreless in Atlanta after Georgia Tech's first possession. Miami gets the ball for their opening offensive possession of this ACC game. Alan Bestwood, College Football Hall of Famer, Coach Mike Bellotti. So Miami 3-0 coming in, but they've played Florida A&M, FAU, and App State, all teams they all say they should have beaten. Now we get to find out if they're for real.
You're right. The competition has gone up every week. They've met that. Now the reality is, can they do it against a conference opponent?
Brad Kaya, the Canes quarterback, hands off to Mark Walton. for a short gain on first down. Caius, feels like we've been talking about Brad forever, right? He's a junior out of California, started all 3 of those seasons, and he's been pretty solid. Top 5 in school history in a lot of categories.
Tall, physical, great release. He's getting better at his footwork. He's not a scrambler at all. He's not going to leave the pocket, but he's worked more on creating better footwork to get a better platform to throw the ball.
Have a Miami player down on the field, and so a timeout. It is the left tackle, Trevor Darling, one of the veterans on this Miami offensive line. Our concern for him as we take an injury timeout from Atlanta.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, and Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
The man for whom the Georgia Tech Stadium is named, Bobby Dodd, stellar player at Tennessee, Georgia Tech head coach 1945 to 1966, athletic director from 1950 to 76, and one of only 3 people elected into the College Football Hall of Fame as both a player and a coach. As we come back live, Trevor Darling has walked off and is being examined by the Miami medical staff over on the sideline. Tyree St. Louis, his backup, is now in at left tackle for the Canes, number 78. We'll get an update on Darling if possible. So 2nd down and 8 here for Miami. Kaya throws the screen outside. There's Walton. Got a lot of room. Got a first down. Nudged out of bounds on the far sideline by A.J. Gray for Georgia Tech. Mark Walton, the sophomore from Miami, right now tied for 3rd in rushing touchdowns and tied for 4th in points per game. He's been spectacular in the Cane running game so far this season.
He's explosive. We went all the way for a touchdown last game on the first play, but they talked a lot. Georgia Tech has to defeat the screen game of Miami today.
So out to the 21-yard line for the fresh set of downs for Miami. Kaya going to throw a long ball near side. Caught somehow through traffic. How did Stacy Coley pull that one in?
Because Stacy Coley is probably the best receiver on the field. But one, Brad Kaya is getting great protection. He's got a chance to set his feet. Look at him drop back here. See, he looks at it all the way, but he puts this ball over the top in a very small window. Maybe slightly misjudged by the defensive back, but tremendous throw and catch.
I thought Lance Austin had that played well for Georgia Tech, but he didn't get the ball, and Coley did. There's the handoff again to Walton inside. And I suspect the first of many times today we'll hear from Chris Cotter. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Alan and Mike. Let's check in on what's happening at Notre Dame and Syracuse. So DeShone Kizer says he wants to get back to having fun. Is this fun for you right here? Equanimous St. Brown. That's his 2nd long touchdown catch of the day from Kizer. 16-6 Irish.
Wow. Putting a lot of points on the board. It'll be a fun day for the Irish. A win that they really need. Walton tackled by Lamont Simmons for Georgia Tech. Nice gain there on the first down.
Coach has made the comment that Mark Walton will press the line of scrimmage, which means he'll run straight ahead and set up blocks and then bounce it outside. He's got the speed and the quickness to adjust on the fly.
So they move it down to the 38-yard line. Walton again, this time sniffed out well on the far side. That was Lawrence Austin and Rod Rukshanong for Georgia Tech, who are all over that one.
In the chess match of this college football, Miami wants to spread out the Georgia Tech defense. Georgia Tech is very comfortable playing against multiple tight ends. It's tough downhill style. They're less comfortable confronting speed in space.
So loss of a couple. Now Joseph Yearby, number 2, into the backfield for Miami. Walton to the sideline. Yearby, the junior out of Miami, also having a really good season. He'll have the ball here and some space. Makes one miss. And he'll be all the way across the 30-yard line and pick up the first down for Miami.
Yearby with a very sudden move. Nice job. Miami going tempo here pretty quickly. They like to slide into this when they have a team on the ropes.
There's Yearby again. He's got room. And he's got a touchdown for Miami. Joseph Yearby. 27 yards into the end zone for the junior Yearby.
You can see there's nothing fancy about it, just a power play to the right. He finds a seam there, hits it. The DBs are out of position, and he's got the speed to finish the play.
So now Michael Badgley on for the point after try for the Canes. His 67th consecutive made point after try for Badgley. So long drive down the field. Brad Kaya 3 for 3 passing on that one. 85 yards in 8 plays, capped off by the 27-yard Gearby touchdown. A lot of great college football to watch all day and all night and all season. Stream every game live on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN. Download the app or visit watchespn.com today. In Atlanta, Miami has just gone up 7-0 on Georgia Tech. Beautiful drive downfield for the Cane offense. Capped off by Joseph Gearby. Goes into the end zone for his 5th rushing touchdown of the season. So now, can the Tech offense answer on their second possession? Second consecutive touchback gives us a chance to introduce Chris Budden. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Alan. Every Miami player is wearing a black decal on the back of their helmets with the initials JF in honor of Jose Fernandez, the Miami Marlins pitcher who passed away last Sunday after a boating accident. I talked to Manny Diaz, the Miami Hurricanes defensive coordinator who grew up in Miami. He said, you see his story throughout every person that lives in Miami. And they saw themselves in Jose, how he came over from Cuba when he was just a boy to live the American dream in the same way Diaz's father did. He came over at 9 years old and eventually became the mayor of Miami. So the emotional impact of Jose Fernandez's death at just 24 years old still resonates with the people of Miami.
Absolutely, Chris. Now there's helmet decals on the Miami defense. Out trying to contain the Tech offense. But on the outside, Clinton Lynch fighting for some extra yardage. He'll be stopped just shy of the first down. Give him about 7 for Lynch, the redshirt sophomore from Norcross, Georgia.
Paul Johnson changing up his play calling, throwing a pass on first down. Perfect call because they had a blitz coming, ran a crossing route, got the guy wide open. Now more manageable second down.
These are the kinds of situations that Georgia Tech wanted to be in. Second or third and 2 to 4 yards, not 8 or 9.
They can operate their offense at much greater efficiency in these regions.
The dive play, close to the first down, a little bit short. 3rd and short coming up. Chris, what else going on?
Here's what else is happening on the Taco Bell studio update. Texas at Oklahoma State and Justice for All here from 30 yards out. That's Justice Hill giving the Pokes the early lead over Texas over on ABC. Alan, Mike?
I like that, and Justice for All. 3rd and short here for Georgia Tech.
For Georgia Tech, remember the whole darn world is 4-down territory.
Yeah. There's the pitch to Lynch. Gets through the hole. Across midfield. All the way down to the 41-yard line before Michael Pinckney trips him up.
This is one of the other options. You can see the counter pitch here. You get a great block on the outside to free the running back, and there's no worry about 4th down because the big explosive play for the first down.
That was his own man he had to hurdle on the far side. I thought that was a Miami defender initially. A little motion feint to kind of check how Miami's defense will react to it.
Exactly. That allows them, the play caller, to make the right choice.
23-yard pickup on that last play. An explosive play for the Tech offense. Short gain there for Justin Thomas. They'll push the ball inside the Miami 40-yard line to the 39.
Very important for Georgia Tech to answer. They don't want to get behind by 2 scores or more in a game. They're more comfortable making it an 8 to 10 possession game, taking time off the clock, scoring points.
Paul Johnson talked about last week how their offense looked so miserable in the first half against Clemson, and he said missed assignments, just missed assignments.
17 on the first 22 plays, and that can be corrected.
Mills with a big gain on the fullback dive, and he's down to the 30-yard line. And a first down for the Wreck.
They like this true freshman. He loves to play football. He's not a burner, but he's big, tough. He can break tackles. He weighs almost 220 pounds as a true freshman.
again to the inside to Mills. Short gain there on first down. Pickup of 2. The second down and 8. Reminder that we've got 3 AP Top 10 matchups this weekend. One last night, done in convincing fashion. The second happens next. Number 8 Wisconsin against number 4 Michigan. And then tonight, it's 2 of the top 5 in the ACC. Louisville against Clemson on ABC. Both games streaming on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN.
Heisman Trophy playoffs. There's a lot at stake.
Ask you who you like in both of those games in a bit. First, let's check the second down play. Thomas with the pitch. Nicely done. Far side. Picking up good yardage. J.J. Green pushed out of bounds by Jamal Carter, but he's inside the 20-yard line to the 17.
And their A-back or slot backs are their guys. They don't do the heavy lifting inside. They're the guys that get the pitch on the edge and are designed to use their speed and make people miss. Great execution by Justin Thomas. And getting the time from his offensive line to make the right read.
Clock ticking here. Of course, part of the goal of this Georgia Tech offense, always stay on the field, run clock. There's the quick pitch around the far side. Isaiah Willis met quickly, fighting for some yardage. About 6 Hurricanes take him down. Might get a couple on that one. And will. Jaquan Johnson led the charge for the Cane defense. So who do you like, Michigan or Wisconsin?
You know what? This is going to be a very close game. I like Wisconsin because of what they've done. They play great defense. They beat an LSU team that was very athletic. But Michigan it's tough to bet against Harbaugh. I think it's whoever has the ball last in that game will win.
Really? Okay. Second and 8. Did give him 2 for Willis. Mills is back in that B-back position, the fullback behind Thomas. He has the ball. He's inside the 10, down to the 8, down to the 7 for Dedrick Mills.
One of the things Dedrick Mills can do is just adjust slightly. He's going to go off the block in the A gaps, the ones on either side of the center, and he's got the vision. Even though he's so close and hits so fast, he can make that one cut and get up the field.
Tied for 4th in the ACC for rushing touchdowns this year. He's got 5 of them. Didn't play one game. So first and goal as the clock runs toward the end of this first quarter. Play clock at 2. Timeout signaled from the near side by Paul Johnson before the snap went off or the play clock ran out.
Timeout, Georgia Tech.
Timeout, Georgia Tech. Timeout for us from Atlanta. ESPN from Atlanta, where Miami leads Georgia Tech 7-0, but Tech driving deep into Miami territory toward the end of this first quarter. It's just the 3rd offensive possession of the quarter. Tech has had 2, Miami 1. Miami scored on an 85-yard drive on theirs. Tech has had the ball a lot of times, ran out of steam thanks to a critical penalty on their first possession, now on this second one. They're set up 3rd and 1. Will hand off inside, and Mills pushing forward should have the yardage for a first down, but it might depend on the spot.
It's going to be close. He found the right gap to go through. It's like they might have to measure this.
ACC officiating crew headed up by referee David Apperly with a look at it. Dedrick Mills has certainly been the workhorse for the Georgia Tech offense in this first quarter. He's carried the ball 8 times, sorry Mike, for 36 yards and counting.
This is much the way Paul Johnson would draw it up. If they can convert this or get this ball in the end zone, they've gotten 2 drives in this entire quarter. Both teams will run the ball. They get that exactly what they want, the first down. They would have gone for it on 4th down. I have no question about that. But Miami now must bow its back a little bit, keep them out, make them settle for a field goal.
So they'll wind the clock after they replace the chains and let the first quarter run out and go for it 1st and goal at the other end of Bobby Dodd Stadium.
That's the end of the first quarter.
So a break with Miami leading Georgia Tech 7-0 on this spectacular Saturday in Atlanta. Tech threatening with 1st and goal when we come back. ready for the second quarter in Atlanta. Miami has still not given up a point in the first quarter yet this year, but they're in danger of giving up some to start the second. As Georgia Tech, in a drive that started at their own 25-yard line, is down to the Miami 7 with first and goal to begin this second quarter. Our investment coach Mike Bellotti, Chris Barton, and our ESPN college football crew as Justin Thomas leads the Jackets out to try and continue this drive. Headed into the end zone and a touchdown for Dedrick Mills and Georgia Tech. After what they went through against Clemson last week, that has to be a really confidence-boosting drive for the Jackets.
Absolutely, no question. They did a great job. That's the way to respond. And the game also was working out. There was only 3 possessions in the entire first quarter, and now we have a tie. We may have a tie game.
Point after try on. Harrison Butker to kick for Georgia Tech. Good hands by the punter Ryan Rodwell to pull that snap in and get the ball spotted. So an 11-play drive that took up, get this, 6 minutes and 23 seconds, resulting in the Mills touchdown.
Watch this play going out this way. Watch the blocks that create the great opportunity for him to get inside. He takes that one step to get going. Now, great block at the edge, great block outside by the receiver on the DB, and then power to get into the end zone.
So that slight movement before the snap, because he's the running back and he's going sideways.
Going laterally is totally legal. It's just like going in motion.
Yep.
Just to get a step on the defense.
So the key play in that drive, the 23-yard run, remember, by Quinton Lynch that gobbled up a bunch of ground. An explosive play, if you will, for Tech. And so we're even at 7 apiece, just inside the beginning of this second quarter. And you know, not to repeat myself, but after their offense went nowhere against Clemson in the first half last week, that's got to do a lot for the Tech confidence.
One, I think Clemson has a tremendous defense, very, very talented. But 2, Paul Johnson talked about the mistakes they made were very, very correctable. And it wasn't a lack of ability, it was just a lack of focus. So they're focused today.
Malcolm Lewis will take the kick at the back of the end zone, and Miami will start on the touchback, and we check in with Chris Cotter.
Okay, gentlemen, a couple of Big 12 scores to tell you about. How about Iowa State? Look at those cool uniforms that the Cyclones are rocking today, and rocking the passing game, too. Joel Lanning, nice move that time by Deshante Jones. Couple of them, he scores 7-0 Iowa State right now in Ames over Baylor. Meanwhile, Texas and Oklahoma State. This is a great receiver here, James Washington. Big target. Texas can't bring him down. It's now 14-7. The 18-wheeler just scored for Texas over on ABC.
Trucking into the end zone, was he? Sorry, Chris, couldn't resist. So Miami's ball, Brad Kaya and the Cane offense starting at their own 25-yard line. They march down the field into the end zone on their only possession of the game so far. Kaya throws outside, had a receiver. It's a little too far out in front of Amon Richards and incomplete. So Miami comes in at 3-0 in their first season under new head coach Mark Richt. The teams that they've played, again, all the coaches and players that we spoke with said these are teams we should have beaten. Well, now it gets serious in conference play.
No question. It's a major step up for Miami in terms of the competition today.
Kaya with a nice fake. Near side, dumps it off inside. And it is in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. That was Christopher Herndon, the tight end, who faded out late. And a third down comes up and long for the Canes.
That is not Kaya's strength. He's not. They don't want to move the pocket too much, but that was more a credit to Georgia Tech's defense. They had plenty of time to throw. Nobody could get open down the field. He tried to put a ball into a fairly tight window, and now Georgia Tech has the Miami offense where they want it. 3rd and long. They can either choose to blitz. They want to get pressure with only 4 if they can.
Sure, Kaya hit as he throws, and it falls incomplete. Kashawn Freeman with the hit on the quarterback for Georgia Tech.
And that was once again what we talked about. The Georgia Tech coaches wanted to get pressure with only a 4-man rush. If you watch to the left side here, there's a little bit of a twist game going on right there that you can see. Those two guys will come under, and a great job of getting to the quarterback. Enough coverage down the field to make him hold the ball just a little bit. Kaya doesn't like that. The Miami offense doesn't like that. They've got to keep him upright.
So Keshawn Freeman's hit on the quarterback brings on the Miami punt team. Booted away by Justin Vogel. Fair caught at his own 30-yard line by Brad Stewart. So 3 for 3 on their first drive, 0 for 3 passing on their second drive. And Miami goes off the field without getting any points. We're tied at 7 here in Atlanta. Taco Bell's a proud partner of the college football playoff. Be on the lookout for Taco Bell student sections and passionate fans like these here at Georgia Tech at games all season long. Why not? It's a beautiful day for a ball game and a good one so far. Georgia Tech and Miami tied at 7 in the second quarter. Jackets starting from their own 31-yard line. Justin Thomas under center. Marcus Marshall in at fullback with the ball. Nope, pitch outside. J.J. Green with a nice gain out to midfield. He faked me out.
Well, that's the design, by design, I guarantee you. Dive back inside, you see they take him, quarterback gets the edge, reads the pitch key. Great job of spin move to extend the yardage.
Another explosive play for the Tech offense. Didn't have anything on their first drive. Had 2 now in the ball game. On their last 2 drives, this one and the one before. There's the pitch to the outside. Marcus Marshall tries to get to the edge. He'll get a few on first down as we check back in with Chris.
All right, gentlemen, Buckeyes off to a slow start in Columbus today, but they do get on the board here late in the first quarter. J.T. Barrett finding Dontre Wilson after he steps away from the pressure. So Buckeyes go up top 6-0. They miss the extra point over in Columbus.
Never makes the coach happy when you miss the point after kick, does it?
No, you expect those to be automatic, and when you miss them, you go, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Now do I have to go for 2? I don't know. Not till the second half.
So Georgia Tech into Miami territory on this drive already. J.J. Green again, and the first down before he's knocked out of bounds, down at the 40-yard line.
Right now, Georgia Tech is exploiting the outside. Miami's interior front 7 has to deal with the cut block, the block below the waist. They're doing a decent job of that, mainly canceling a dive, but what's happening, they're a man short or half a man short on the outside. Georgia Tech exploiting that.
Manny Diaz, the defensive coordinator for the Hurricanes, knew that his team would have to adapt to the cut blocks, to eye discipline, maintaining assignments as you try and defend this option offense. Paul Johnson says on the other side, he said, look, this option offense has got an answer for everything you throw at it if, capital letters if, we execute it right.
If you execute with emotion.
Thomas to throw, take a shot, middle of the field, got a receiver. Penalty flag is out. J.J. Green with the ball. Marker back behind the line of scrimmage.
Holding. Offense. Number 58. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's their 5th-year senior center, Freddie Burden, one of their team leaders. And they'll bring that one all the way back.
He's their best player up front, too. He really, but it's always difficult. You're going to watch this matchup right here. See what happens as they go. It's a play-action pass, so they sort of fake the pitch. He's got him, and right there, unfortunately, when the guy gets beat, he sort of grabs that, just a little bit of a trip style.
The jersey, then the trip. Yeah, no wonder there were 2 flags on the field. So on their first drive, Jackets had a costly penalty that took away a big play. Just happened again. And they're all the way back at midfield. Thomas will make the outside pitch. That was a nice bounce off by Marcus Marshall. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he lunges and powers forward for a short gain.
And the reality is that's actually a really good play by the Miami defense. Manny Diaz talked about getting population at the ball. There was 4 or 5 Hurricanes there to make sure even if one guy missed it, the other 3 or 4 are going to clean up that tackle.
There's a look at Diaz. Says it has been a great 8 months working back again with head coach Mark Richt back in his hometown.
Georgia Tech wants to get half the yardage just to get back to a manageable third down situation.
First time marker is all the way at the Miami 30-yard line. Tech will take their second timeout as the play clock was running down again. We'll take a break, tied at 7 in Atlanta.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Taco Bell. Grab any $5 box at Taco Bell and you could win PlayStation VR.
The beautiful College Football Hall of Fame relocated here to Atlanta in August of 2014. 94,000 square feet with some 977 players and just 211 coaches in the Hall of Fame, including our pal, Coach Mike Bellotti, inducted in 2014. That's got to be pretty cool to have gone through that.
It's a neat deal. I'll tell you what, they do a great job. I've been there a time or two, and it's very interactive, and I owe a great debt of thanks to all the coaches and players that ever worked with me.
So here just on the other side of the I-85-75 highway from downtown in the Hall of Fame, Bobby Dodd Stadium at historic Grant Field, where Georgia Tech. Justin Thomas throws, has a receiver complete far side. Then Griffin across the 40-yard line, going to set up a lengthy third down. Let's check back in with Chris.
All right, Coach Bellotti, you said that you might assume the extra point if you're a coach. You don't assume to miss it, and you clearly don't assume this, that the other team is going to block it and take it the other way for 2 points. That's exactly what happened to Texas. Here's Vincent Taylor for Oklahoma State taking it to the house. 16-3 right now, Oklahoma State on top over on ABC.
Well, all right then. That's a way to get some free points.
That's scary. As a coach, you don't talk about that very much. Just block your assignment. But when those things happen, you got to say, uh-oh, we got to do something different. That
is Rayshawn Jenkins, the fifth-year senior for Miami, who is just getting up to his feet. And so while he is attended to by the Miami medical staff, gives us a chance to remind you about the top 10 matchups still to come today. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Louisville, Clemson. Both on ABC, 3:30 for the Wolverines and the Badgers, and then at 8 Eastern time tonight for the Cardinals and the Tigers. Of course, Coach Harbaugh, picture notwithstanding in that one. I'm sure he wished we'd used something else.
What's he wearing there? A hat.
Well, you know, it's a chance for his team to show that they belong in that rarefied air of the top 5 ranking. Big game coming up next on ABC. 3rd and 7 and running free. Michael Pinckney drops Justin Thomas back out at the 48-yard line, and it'll bring up 4th down and stall out the Georgia Tech drive.
One of those freshman linebackers is able to make plays. Watch him right there coming in just to the left of the center, as you can see this, and nobody blocks it. That's a mistake. You've got to control the A gaps, at least in terms of pass protection.
It's one of those missed assignments. So the freshman from Jacksonville takes advantage of the opportunity. So the punt team comes on for Tech to try and pin the Canes deep if they can. Ryan Rodwell floats one in. Fair catch signaled for and made by Braxton Berrios. 5 minutes gone, second quarter. Miami will get another shot at the ball. Back with our Polaris Drive recap at Miami's lone scoring drive of the game so far.
Starts with a great throw by Brad Kaya. Tight window. Finds Stacy Coley, his #1 favorite receiver. And then watch Lamont Simmons, #6 here. Unfortunately, gets his eyes caught in the back. But didn't see this. Yerby takes advantage of that. Runs it in. Quick score.
So that was an 8-play, 85-yard drive for Miami. Trick is that Georgia Tech has held the ball a lot. And a footnote on the Georgia Tech possessions, when they've had penalties on their offensive drives, is when they did not score.
And they're one of the least penalized teams in the nation, so it might be they're facing somebody who's got some talent that causes them to try to do a little bit more.
Joseph Yerby doing a great job keeping his feet on the far sideline. Gets a 1st down for the Canes.
Well, I've talked all week about the fact that Walton and Yerby and Gus Everett, they've got depth and talent. Watch this cutback right here, the stiff arm to get outside, and he keeps going. He's not going to go down very easy, makes another guy miss. Just added yardage after contact.
They'll have the ball again. Plunge into traffic on the far side, but a nice gain, about 4 on first down for Yearby, the junior from Miami Central, and a player down. Multiple players down. That's Francis Callan, 92 for Georgia Tech. He's a fifth-year senior out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. And we'll hope the best for him as the Tech medical staff comes out to attend to him.
I didn't know if he took his helmet off or it just got pushed off in terms of part of the play.
And then if he got wrapped there when that helmet came off. Looks like they're working around the area of his nose. Good to see Callan on his feet walking off.
Yeah, he is right here, I believe. Oh, you can see him right there. Now watch what happens to him, because as we talk about, sometimes when you get punched there, there's hand fighting going on. Then a run looking right to the nose and sort of a push there. Yeah, one of the things that happens too when you get poked in the eye or punched in the nose, even if you're not hurt exactly, your eyes water. It's hard to see for a little while. So to come off and hopefully get composed, get ready to go back in.
I don't care how tough you are. When you get poked in the eye, it's shocking, and it will make you react. So Callan to the sidelines. 4-yard gain on first down for Yearby. Second down and 6 for the Canes. Yearby again. Some nice running once he got into that Georgia Tech secondary as well, with big yardage.
You know, I'm interested to see. I mean, Yearby's doing a tremendous job, but Mark Walton was the guy. I don't know if he got dinged a little bit or they're just going with the guy that has the hot hand, but Yearby's answering the questions and answering the call.
How about this? On 4 carries, 50 yards for Yearby. St. Amour with the tackle that time, and Yearby adding to that total. So really having a big game so far without, yards per carry being huge there for Yearby. Why not? Keep riding that horse. First down, Hurricanes out to the 46-yard line.
And how about this? Miami's a better rushing football team than Georgia Tech. That doesn't happen very often, but that's what Mark Richt brings to this game. He's got a balance of run and pass and a lot of different formations that create problems for the defense.
So now the third of the tailbacks for the Hurricanes comes in. Number 7, Gus Edwards, the redshirt junior out of Staten Island, New York. Missed almost all of last season with a foot injury, but he's back this year. He'll have his 12th carry of the season. Fight forward to the 49-yard line. P.J. Davis, 40 for Georgia Tech, was the first contact there. And Davis coming up a little bit gingerly. And another Tech player near side getting attention. It's Patrick Gamble, defensive tackle from the inside.
That's the 2 starters both on the inside. Right now the physicality and the athleticism and the size of the Miami offensive line is really controlling the line of scrimmage.
By the way, Trevor Darley, we saw him lip off earlier for Miami, is back in at left tackle, 73, so that's good to see. You take a shot here, 2nd and 7? Sure, why not? Complete for the first down. On the outside, the big tight end, Christopher Herndon. Local guy, North Cross, Georgia, playing football in South Florida.
That group of tight ends, Herndon and Joku Gobart, they are talented, they are big, physical, and they are matchup problems for Georgia Tech. Here's where I would take a shot on first down, just past the 50-yard line.
Throw is complete. It's Coley. Tries to make one miss. 12-yard gain. We check in with Chris Cotter.
Let's go out to Ames, where Iowa State had a 14-0 lead over Baylor. 4th down inside the 10, and Jim Grobe says enough is enough. Here's Terrence Williams taking it in for the Bears. So 14-7 right now. Cyclones on top.
All right, Chris, thanks. 7 apiece here in Atlanta. 7 to go in the first half. Miami on a nice drive. Down to the Georgia Tech 30-yard line. Brad Kaya, nice patience. Looks to find about the 3rd receiver in that progression. And a flag comes in. Check that. No flag.
Personal foul.
Oh, there is a flag. Okay.
Roughing the passer. Defense number 99. Half a distance to the goal. first down.
Yeah, this was late. Kaya was trying to figure out what to do with the football. Got sort of stranded in the pocket. Watch him come back here, sits, pats his feet, step. Doesn't really set and reset his feet, but then it's the finish of taking the quarterback to the ground. You can hit him once the ball's gone. You cannot finish that tackle or fling him to the ground.
Desmond Branch, the redshirt sophomore out of Rio Rancho, New Mexico, with the flag. So advance the ball down to the 19-yard line. Third penalty for Georgia Tech, one of the least penalized teams in the country.
Paul Johnson will not be happy about the penalty.
Here is Walton into the end zone. Touchdown, Miami.
Nice job in terms of the execution. And Walton obviously wanted to regain his stature a little bit. He says, I need to do something with the ball. Those other guys are showing me up.
One of the Georgia Tech defenders pushed toward the line. I think some folks thought that play might have been stopped for contact, but he didn't touch anybody. And Miami kept going all the way into the end zone. And now the point after kick by Badgley is good. Miami gets 14 on the board. Great drive downfield, 9 plays, 90 yards, and Mark Walton into the end zone for the Miami touchdown. Number 14, Miami, with a beautiful drive downfield in just 3 minutes 11 seconds. The 14-yard Mark Walton touchdown run puts the Canes up by 7 on Georgia Tech. So can the Jackets answer here? Remember that the 2 drives that have stalled out for Georgia Tech have stalled out by offensive penalties. Kick will be dropped down, and a touchback, and Georgia Tech will start at its 25-yard line. Another look at the touchdown play.
Well, this is what we call a G play, and the real key is that this kick-out block and then the great block of the tight end on the end man on the line of scrimmage there. And that's one of their nickelbacks, Jalen Johnson. He's the big nickel. But see, he gets hooked right there and has no chance to get off that block. Nice job of letting him go, but great acceleration by Mark Walton all the way to the end zone. He wants more carries today, he's telling me.
He's carried the ball 5 times for 25 yards and a touchdown. Joseph Yearby's carried 6 times for 63 yards and a touchdown. That's Georgia Tech's ball from their own 25-yard line. Justin Thomas under center. Under pressure. Drops, just barely gets back to the line of scrimmage as we get back to Chris Connor.
All right, this Notre Dame-Syracuse game in the Carrier Dome is just back and forth. Here's Eric Dungy converting a 4th and goal. That's his 3rd total touchdown of the day. It's 23-20 right now over on ESPN. Irish on top.
Interesting. After what's been an interesting week, particularly on the defensive side of the ball for the Irish.
Yeah, it sounds like they haven't improved too much yet. I don't know.
There's coaching changes, part of the story of the week in college football. I'll talk more about that in a bit. First, 2nd down and 10 for Georgia Tech. Thomas with pressure coming backside. Hit, ball's on the ground. Picked up, headed toward the end zone. Shaquille Quarterman with a Miami defensive touchdown.
That young freshman's in the right place at the right time. This is an unblocked guy coming off that backside that Justin Thomas is not aware of. You can see this, take a look. They're throwing the ball more out of necessity probably. They threw it on 1st down, which put them in a long 2nd down situation. Have to throw again.
Quarterman and one of that trio of true freshman linebackers for the Canes out of Orange Park, Florida. With the defensive touchdown, and now Michael Badgley on for another successful point after try. Sudden change points on the board for Miami.
The edge, okay, got it.
In 32 seconds, the Miami Hurricanes have just scored 14 points. One by their offense and another touchdown by Manny Diaz's defense. And it's suddenly 21-7 for the Canes over Georgia Tech.
That's the way you like to do it, have all aspects of your team help out the win.
So another touchback, and Georgia Tech's offense better regroup quickly because they're coming right back onto the field.
Let's show you how this occurs. Watch this man right here, Trent Harris. He's coming off the edge unmolested. And then watch Quarterman. He's inside there somewhere. He's going to find the ball after it hits the ground. Here's the hit. There he is. And then
good hand.
Quarterman, well, he's a freshman in the right place at the right time. He's loving it. I'm assuming that might be his first college touchdown. I don't know, but take a look. The quarterback has no idea his backside is not protected, and the quarterback, nice scoop and score.
So 21-7, Miami, Georgia Tech's offense back on the field just like they were about 3/4 of a minute ago at their own 25-yard line.
You know, we had an old adage on defense. When you're in the city, you fall on it. When you're in the country, scoop and score. When nobody's around the ball, scoop and score.
That's when you're in the country, huh?
Yep.
J.J. Green got a couple around the far side on the pitch. Knocked out of bounds there. And so 2nd down and 8 for Georgia Tech. Now here's a real test of your morale and your offense's attitude, right?
Absolutely. And penalties and turnovers have hurt Georgia Tech today. The offense, though, can take the ball. They've got to find a way to score here to quell the momentum that's on Miami's side.
Remember, Georgia Tech had 2 offensive drives killed out by big penalties. One after they had converted a long 3rd down, came back on a holding call. Had a nice, beautiful, time-consuming drive downfield to get their touchdown that no doubt built some confidence. Thomas gets tangled up, ball's on the ground again. Are you kidding me? Joe Jackson with another Miami defensive touchdown. The Cane sideline is going crazy.
Previous play is under further review.
Was Justin Thomas down or not?
Can't see what happens to the football. It doesn't look like he was down, but we got a different angle.
Looked like he was trying to pitch that.
Yeah, I
so
think
was
it
he
is.
in possession of it?
I think it's out. I just don't know if it came out quite cleanly in his hands. Maybe he decided to hold back on it, but I don't think his knee was down. I'm not sure we get a definitive view. This is a better look, probably. Yeah, I think the ball is probably going to be out because it was ruled a fumble on the field. Correct?
Right, that's the big thing. So it has to be indisputable video evidence beyond all doubt to overturn the call. Don't forget that the ACC this year has instituted the replay collaborative process with the ACC's Game Day Operations Center back in Greensboro, so they can assist the replay official here at the stadium in reviewing this to come to the correct call.
We can't see the ball or the knee at this point. The would-be pitch guy sort of blocks it. I think he was going to pitch it and then was uncomfortable and felt I better hang on to it and actually just lost control of the ball. The question is whether that knee was down before the ball comes out of his hands.
And is it indisputable evidence? We find out.
After further review, ruling on the field stands, touchdown.
So it was not indisputable video evidence. The call stands, and the freshman from Homestead, Florida, Joe Jackson, has a 2nd consecutive defensive Miami touchdown.
And 2 straight freshmen scoring those touchdowns. That bodes well for the future.
So Michael Badgley on. And boots it through. So in 1 minute and 38 of game clock, Miami has scored 21 points, 14 of them off turnovers. 28-7 Canes. Well, there it is for you. 2 Miami true freshman defensive players have touchdowns after their offense scored a go-ahead touchdown. And the gap in this one has suddenly grown to 21 points.
And the bounce of the ball can do strange things.
Better down that before a Miami defensive player gets there. And we check in with Chris.
All right, gentlemen, Texas and Oklahoma State are going back and forth as well. Here's Tyrone Swoops. It's the 18-wheeler scoring for the second. Look at get off of me. 2nd time in the game. He keeps it and scores. That gave Texas the lead, but Oklahoma State came right back. Travis Rudolph, he keeps it, fools everybody along the left end and makes it 23-19. Right now, Oklahoma State on top.
Yeah, back and forth they go. And here in Miami, back they go. Here in Atlanta, rather. Back, as in they keep fumbling the ball. These last 2 Georgia Tech possessions, and Miami's turned them into points. So now Justin Thomas needing to gather himself and his team to try and do something here. Their own 25-yard line.
You got to settle down, make some plays.
There's the pitch. Look at that tackle. Corn Elder. Absolutely stacked up J.J. Green as we check down with our Chris on the sideline.
Well, I've been watching Justin Thomas during those last couple possessions, and he's obviously very frustrated. Was coming to the bench, sitting by himself. Now, Paul Johnson has asked him to step up as a vocal leader, but it hasn't been that other players coming to support him.
That should have been a tough stretch, and he will need to pick the chin up off the chest and get going here. And obviously, this Miami defense coach gaining a lot of confidence in defending this option. Nice fight through by Quentin Lynch. Doubles back this way. Out to midfield. Lynch, the sophomore, into Miami territory with a second huge gain that he's had in this one.
This is pretty much an individual effort. He just takes off, and I'll tell you what, there's the pitch to the outside that they've had success with. Missed tackle right there, another missed tackle right there, and he reverses his field. Does a nice job of finishing this play. He's not fast enough to outrace the entire defense, but gets a few more yards after contact.
So Quentin Lynch, the redshirt sophomore, in this ball game has carried it 3 times, and he's got 58 yards. That's 19 a carry, if I carried the one correctly.
That's pretty good. I'd say give him the ball again.
The left tackle, Eason Fromayan, came off gingerly after that last carry. They'll give it to Dedrick Mills this time. He'll power forward for a couple after he was met out there on the corner, and met rather forcefully by R.J. McIntosh and Joe Jackson.
Georgia Tech is sort of accepting of the fact that the interior is not where they want to attack. They want to attack the perimeter. They're getting the big yards out there. Look for that type of thing to stay, but they'll still run the dive. Don't ever forget or fall asleep on the dive.
Johnson says, and you've told us the last couple of weeks as we've had option teams, the dive is what makes the option go. Stopping the dive is what makes it be defended. Coming back around this way. Lynn Griffin. Get out to about the 30, down to about rather, the 34-yard line. It will set up 3rd down and about 4 for Georgia Tech.
And this is definitely 2-down territory, 4-down territory. They're going to take 2 more shots because they need a touchdown right now. They cannot and will not settle for a field goal.
Getting down the field and getting into the end zone will also do wonders to pick the offense's morale back up as they head toward the locker room too. The counter coming back inside and tripped up as he tried to push his way forward. Michael Pinckney there with the stop for Miami.
Great eye discipline and gap integrity by the Miami defense. They're not making anything easier. They're trying to stay and play everything from the inside out, which is what you want to do to stop the dive option pitch, the triple option teams.
So here's that 4th down, and it's 4th and 2 for the Jackets. Searcy with his first touch. He'll have the first down into the inside the 30-yard line of Miami. Big carry there for Quay Searcy, the redshirt sophomore out of Barnesville, Georgia.
It's hard to stop a team like Georgia Tech on 4th and 2 because they can run inside either way. They can run the quarterback either way. They can run the pitch, and it's hard because you got to match force with force. Nice execution by Georgia Tech. That's what Paul Johnson wants.
Spotted at the 27-yard line on a first down for the Jackets. Down to just over a minute and a half to go. Georgia Tech with just the 1 timeout, used 2 earlier in the game when the play clock was running out. Thomas to throw. Complete. Near side. Out of the backfield, Lynch again will bring the ball down inside the 15-yard line and a first down for Georgia Tech.
Justin Thomas, sort of a herky-jerky quarterback, but he gets it done. He throws an accurate pass down the field, and he's always moving. It's never quite a clear pocket, but he makes the most of it.
Thomas 6 for 6 throwing the ball today. Pitch to Mills. Hit. Powers his way forward inside the 10, down to the 9-yard line, and the clock running inside of a minute to go. And a timeout is taken by Georgia Tech, their last timeout. Minute to check in with Chris Cotter.
All right, gentlemen, Dave and Buster's halftime report coming up in just a few moments. We're going to talk about Baylor getting a big test on the road in Ames. The Gators trying to bounce back after that disappointing loss to Tennessee last week. And how impressive was Washington last night? We'll look back on their big win over Stanford. Butch and Jonathan here with me as well. Dave and Buster's coming up.
All right, Chris, thanks. Yeah, how impressive was Washington last night? Wow.
Oh my gosh, they just destroyed Stanford, and I really, Stanford was down 3 or 4 starters though, I think, which didn't help them any bit. Washington looked so poised, so polished, and they fed off the emotion of the fans in that stadium.
Absolutely did.
You know, I think they might have taken a full time out here because Freddie Burton, their starting center, was down, and I think they were going to have to pull him out. So I think they're really afraid of playing anybody else but him at center. I think that's why they took the full time out and burned it right there.
So no timeouts left for Georgia Tech as they try and punch the ball into the end zone with 53 seconds to go. They have 2nd and 6, and the ball is at the 9-yard line. Impressive drive for the Jackets after 2 fumbles turned into scoop and scores by Miami. Completely turned what was a close game into one heavily tilted in favor of the guys wearing green.
And in order to keep this a game, Georgia Tech needs to get this ball in the end zone.
No turnovers, no penalties in this first half on Miami. And of course, Tech with the 2 turnovers and a couple of critical offensive penalties. So now that's 2nd and 6. Thomas dumps it off. Caught. Near side and into the end zone. Dedrick Mills with the Jacket touchdown.
Justin Thomas may have put the ball on the ground a couple times today, but when he's throwing the football, he's lights out. Has he thrown an incompletion yet?
No. 7 for 7. And now the point after try from Harrison Butker to try and make it a 14-point game. Well, after fumbles on consecutive possessions, a much-needed drive and score for Paul Johnson's team.
Watch Mills right here. Watch him sneak. He's just going to come out there immediately at the snap of the ball. There's no fake involved. It's sort of a sprint-out play. And a nice job by Thomas under pressure. And then a great comeback block to get Mills in the end zone.
So 2nd touchdown of the day for Dedrick Mills. An 8th touchdown of his true freshman season. And let's not forget, they went for it on 4th down and 1 to keep that drive going earlier. And the numbers on the Tech quarterback, Justin Thomas.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good day other than the fumbles. And
yes.
One was absolutely not his fault. That backside hit that jarred the ball loose from him, it's hard to talk to a quarterback about that because that's on his protection.
So 47 seconds to go. Miami with all 3 timeouts. Let's remember this Hurricane offense has been quick strike this season so far. 20 of their touchdown drives this season. Of them, 11 have taken less than 2 minutes. And beautifully angled to go out of bounds in the end zone and not give the Canes a chance for a run back. Quick reminder that at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, NFL Insider Sunday edition kicks off your day with injury news, fantasy updates, and early breaking stories. Then at 11, the new Sunday NFL Countdown crew. Chris Berman, Trent Dilfer, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselbeck, and Randy Moss take you up to kickoff. And of course, the shows are both streaming live on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN.
Pretty good accumulation of talent on that countdown board.
And accomplishments. So Miami 75 yards away from the end zone. Their kicker, Michael Badgley, made a 57-yard field goal against Georgia Tech. It tied the school record. And we'll keep that in mind as Brad Kaya tries to move the team. They'll hand it off. Mark Walton will be stuffed after a 1-yard gain.
With a lead in that field position, you try a running play. If it breaks, you sort of say, hey, let's get going. And if not, you're probably going to be content to just let the clock run out.
Mark Richt is standing by the side judge on the far side. take the clock all the way down and then call the timeout?
You know, I guess so. I'm not sure why when you let it run anyway.
Yeah.
Run another play. And then,
Georgia Tech doesn't have any timeouts. Take a knee. Now, play clock and game clock just about matching up, so they'll just let it run out. Well, really, for Georgia Tech, how would they respond to Clemson? For the most part, well. For Miami, are they for real? They've looked solid, but they're in a fight in this one. Let's check downstairs with Chris.
Coach Rick, if I had told you that 2 of your freshman defensive players have put up half your points, what would your reaction have been?
Well, I'd be thankful. You need some defensive scores when you're defending this thing, so that was outstanding.
You've been able to get some pressure on Thomas. What do you need to continue to do in this second half?
Well, you just got to win first and second down. You've got to get them uncomfortable. They get the yardage on first and second down, it's going to be a long drive and a long day.
Appreciate the time. Good luck in the second half. Alan?
So Mark Richt and the Canes head back into their locker room to talk about it more at halftime. They do so with the luxury of a 14-point lead thanks to 2 critical Georgia Tech turnovers deep in their own territory. 28-14 Miami. Chris Cotter, Butch Davis, and Jonathan Bilma have our halftime show back in the studio, gentlemen.
Thank you, Al. Dave and Buster's halftime report. Butch and Jonathan are here with me. Some early action today, and man, it has been crazy already. I mean, this game week.
You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Teams back on the field at Bobby Dodd Stadium in downtown Atlanta as we get ready for the second half of this Coastal Division matchup between Miami, the 14th ranked team in the country, and homestanding Georgia Tech. Alan Bestwick, College Football Hall of Famer Coach Mike Bellotti, looking at this first half. Really very evenly matched and evenly played match game between the two teams, except for the 2 turnovers.
2 touchdowns are fairly equal in yardage, but those turnovers are the difference.
That's it. Now, the 14-point difference is the 2 defensive touchdowns that Miami got off the fumbles deep in Georgia Tech territory. Miami gets the ball to start this second half. They'll start from their own 25-yard line after Yearby with the touchdown. Our performance recap brought to you by Dickies.
And we're going to look at this. Unless the guy comes off the edge, hits Justin Thomas, Quarterman right there to scoop and score. Great job by the freshman. Another time now, pitch gets on the ground, mistake, but Joe Jackson is right there to pick it up and get in the end zone. 2 scores by 2 true freshmen, the difference in this game.
Miami put up 21 points in a minute and 38 thanks to those. Otherwise, Georgia Tech's done a lot of what it wanted to. It ran the ball successfully. Justin Thomas has been perfect passing the ball. They dominated time of possession, but they gave up those 14 points off turnovers. Now, they get back in this game, but the first thing that has to happen is their defense has to stop Miami right now on this drive. Mark Walton, and the defense does get the stop. In fact, knocked Walton back for a 1-yard loss. Brandon Mitchell, 51, leads the charge.
I think they heard you. I think they do what they have to do. Stop the run.
Well, really think about it, right? Georgia Tech can't fall behind by another touchdown. They chose to receive at the start of the game, didn't score on that first possession, had a key offensive penalty that stopped that drive.
Winning first down for the defense is very important, trying to get to a 3rd and long situation.
Kaya hands off. Walton going to be boxed in and wrapped up on the far side. Kashun Freeman there, 42 for the Jackets. And it brings up 3rd and long.
Talking to Ted Roof, he wants to be a situational blitz guy, and today if he does blitz, it would be a zone blitz, but he's hoping that his 4-man pass rush can get there and disturb Brad Kaya, get him off his spot.
There's the defensive coordinator for the Jackets, seeing if his defense can get off the field on 3rd down. Miami's only had 1 3rd down play in the entire game. They did not convert. With time, throws near side to Walton. Can he get to the line to gain? No, he's dropped short. Lawrence Austin and Brand Mitchell pursuing and containing Walton. It's 4th down, and the Miami punt team comes on.
Georgia Tech, nice job. Just 4-man contain rush. zone defense, but they needed to tackle a 3rd and long. Just rallied to the football, did a nice job of tackling short of the first down marker.
So Justin Vogel, 3-time Ray Guy Award nominee, will come on to punt, the senior from Tampa for Miami. Brad Stewart back deep for Tech. Stewart retreating. Back to his 12. Got some space. Quickly closed in on, makes one miss. Finally dragged down at his 30-yard line. So Georgia Tech gets that defensive stop to start this second half. We check downstairs with Chris Budden.
Alan Paul Johnson told me that his message to the team at half was very positive. I wanted them to know that there are only a few plays out of this thing. A few missed assignments is what caused them to be down 2 touchdowns. It was basically the same conversation that he had at half in that game against Clemson when they were down 23-0. He says, hey, a big rah-rah, kick the helmet, emotional speech isn't necessarily going to get my guys back in this. If I tell them go play, that's how they'll respond.
They'll get their first chance to play on offense from their own 29-yard line in the second half. Justin Thomas, 7 for 7 throwing the ball in the first half. Dedrick Mills behind him, the fullback. Instead, the pitch will go to far side. That's J.J. Green, gets the edge, and a nice gain on first down for the Jackets. The breakdown on the triple option and what they've chosen to run against the Cane defense in that first half.
Well, like I said, they're still running the dive enough times to get the pitch to work on the outside. The dive keeps the defense honest.
So gain of 8 on that first down. Make it 7. It'll be 2nd and 3. Thomas on the counter play. Plays Searcy. Nicely read there by Shaquille Quarterman, 55, the true freshman, with one of those scoop and score touchdowns in the first half.
That's great patience by Quarterman. He's one of those inside linebackers that if they don't have great eye discipline, they can run the other way. But he saw the counter blocking coming, stayed home.
So they back it up on the loss of 2. 3rd down and a big one here. The throw with time. Almost picked off. Well read coming across the middle. Michael Pinckney, the linebacker, read the quarterback's eyes and got his hands on the ball.
Their lead tackler, he also runs the alley as well as anybody. He's reading the quarterback's eyes. We've seen him come from the inside out. There he is right there on his screen, and he's running. See, he's watching the quarterback, gets a hand on it. He's pretty close to being maybe a pick at 6.
Yeah, very close. So 4th down here, and the punter is on, Ryan Rodwell. Braxton Berrios standing at his own 24-yard line for the Canes.
Dangerous return, man.
Big booming kick, fair catch signaled for and made at the 21-yard line. And Miami gets the ball back there, leading by 14. Brad Kaya and company ready to go back to work.
ESPN College Football. Brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
What a great day for a ball game in Atlanta. Temperature to be pushing up close to 80 degrees. Mark Richt's offense, you'd say, has barely broken a sweat because they haven't been on the field very much at all. 24 offensive plays for Brad Kaya and company. There's the 25th. Kaya with a nice throw. Far side. Caught. Stacy Coley on the comeback. He's dropped by Corey Griffin. Just shy of the 30-yard line. 2nd and short for the Canes.
You tend to get soft coverage when you throw on first down because the defense is thinking run.
So on 2nd down, in and out of the hands of Coley and incomplete.
I actually like the placement on that throw. It was low where only his receiver could get it. Tough catch, but Coley's got to come up with it.
So 3rd and short for Miami. Mark Walton is the running back next to Kaya. He'll have the ball. Looking left. They string him out. They drop him for a loss. Patrick Gamble, 91, had the penetration for Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech not only handled the tempo because Miami went up speed there, but they stretched the running back out and allowed multiple players to get there to make sure he didn't get to the first down marker.
So very, very quick 3 and out for the Cane offense. They haven't converted a third down yet in the ball game, not that they've had that many. And Justin Vogel back on to punt once more.
Good news, bad news about tempo. You don't get a first down, your defense is back on the field.
Brad Stewart back deep, fair catch signaled for. Makes it at his own 34-yard line. Well, you know, we've been hearing from Butch Davis and Jonathan Vilma at halftime and in the studio during the ball game. We thought it'd be fun to hear from them during the game as the Miami Hurricanes play. We'll do that next. Back in Atlanta, got the Miami Hurricanes, the 14th ranked team on the field. Alan Best coach Mike Bellotti. Got former Canes coach and player Butch Davis and Jonathan Vilma back in the studio for us all day. Thought it'd be fun to bring them into the telecast. Gentlemen, give you permission to take off your impartial ESPN analyst's hat and put on your Miami cap for this next little bit, and let's talk about it. Tons of buzz in South Florida after the 3-0 start of Are the Canes Back? Coach, start with you. What have you seen from them so far this season?
Well, one of the things, obviously, I think that Mark Richt has done is he's really gotten the running game going. I mean, Mark Walton and Joseph Yearby, I mean, that's something that I think that I see differently compared to the Al Golden years, is really get that running game going that obviously would complement Brad Kaya. And you know, the more success that they have, obviously, going into this game, Walton was the ACC's leading rusher. So I think that that's been a big part of the success early in the 3-0 start.
For me, I look at the
Jonathan, how
defense.
about you?
Yeah, I look at the defense. I look at the team as a whole, the way that they execute now, the way that they're accountable. You see the defense is a lot faster than last year, and it's not the players are any faster. It's that they can go faster. They're not thinking as much. I like that on the defensive side. And then, of course, Butch mentioned offensively, it is this lineup, run the ball. And, of course, we have one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC in Brad Kaya that we know we can get yards when we need them.
You know, last year when we watched them play, I mean, one of the things, Brad Kaya took an awful lot of punishment. The offensive line gave up a lot of hits and sacks, and that running game obviously kind of somewhat protects Brad Kaya a little bit, and obviously, but that's got to be something. If they're going to be a real threat in the ACC division, they've got to be able to get Brad back on track, throwing the football, and have that a complementary two-dimension offense.
You know, Mark Richt's hiring was, what was hoped for was it was really going to re-inject a lot of energy into the alumni base, the former players, the former coaches, the fans who maybe, I'll say, grown a little negative and a little weary down in South Florida.
It wasn't a maybe. It wasn't a maybe.
We
did not like what we saw, trust me.
I was trying to be polite. So I know it's a small sample size. We're only 3 games into the season, this, 3.5. Are you seeing that energy? Are you feeling that energy?
I am. I see the energy. I feel the energy. What I'm most excited about is that you see it with a lot of the young guys. True freshmen are playing. They're playing well. Sophomores are playing. Redshirt sophomores are playing. And that gives me a lot of hope for not just this season, but the upcoming seasons, because they gain the experience. Then they become better players. They're going to get bigger, faster, stronger in the offseason. They'll have that experience, and they'll already know what the culture is, and they'll be the ones that are now going to spread that down to the incoming freshmen and hopefully get the program back on track.
You know, Jonathan alluded a little bit earlier about the performance of the defense, and they do. They're young, they're talented, they're aggressive, they got a lot of speed, and we've already seen it in this game against Georgia Tech that athletic ability has created plays, the scoop and score, sack fumbles, and those kinds of things. If you get talented athletes and you give them the freedom to be aggressive, you're going to play much better defense than they had in the previous couple of years.
That's a big thing, the freedom. Let them go play. They're athletes, they're athletic, they can run. Let them do that. Let them run, let them be athletic, let them go hit, and they'll make plays. And fortunately, it's been working out for us. Hopefully we can continue down this run. I shouldn't say we. They can continue down this run as the season goes on.
He's got his U hat on.
Yeah, I got the U hat on.
That's right.
You guys are absolutely right, though. The one gap versus two gap approach by Manny Diaz up front has made a big difference, I think, especially in attacking this triple option.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things against this triple option, they've given Georgia Tech, and you've got to give them enough negative plays to put them behind the sticks where they have a hard time making conversions on first downs and second downs in the passing game. And obviously, you know, Georgia Tech, and Jonathan and I talked about it, and Mike, I know you guys have already alluded to it. When you play Georgia Tech, They eat the clock up, and they're doing the same thing. These drives for 6-7 minutes, and all of a sudden now Miami looks up, and you can't have what they did in the first half. You can't have those 3 and outs where you throw passes, and all of a sudden all you burned was 24 seconds, and you give the ball back to Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
All right, Coach Jonathan, Canes hats off. ESPN analyst's hats back on as Tech's got a nice drive going. Thanks for sharing some time with us here.
Oh, thanks, guys.
You're welcome, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Butch Davis, Jonathan Vilma back in our studio. Georgia Tech indeed with a very nice drive deep into the red zone here of Miami, trying to get this game a little bit closer. Pushing to the outside, J.J. Green inside the 10, knocked out of bounds by Shaquille Quarterman.
This is vintage Paul Johnson right now. He's been mixing the dive with the pitch, sort of keeping the defense off balance, and they're getting great plays, but the dive plays, the straight ahead plays, have really loosened up the defense.
So 4 yards on first down, 2nd and goal. 4 minutes almost on the drive. And now the 8th play as Tech looks to see if they can close this game down within 7. Justin Thomas, 7 of 8 on the day, throwing the ball.
Maybe take the lead in offensive touchdowns for the day, but not the lead on the scoreboard.
Play clock at 4, 3. Just barely got it off. And flags come in everywhere as the ball hit the ground. They might get a little bit closer.
This might be an offsides.
Yeah.
I think Miami was trying to jump the snap count and got off just a little bit soon.
Offside, defense, number 95, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That is the first penalty of the game for the Hurricanes. And it is called on Big Anthony Moten, the junior from Fort Lauderdale. So now closer to the goal line. And Georgia Tech can still get a first down at the 1-yard line.
You really don't want to give anybody any help down in the red zone.
No. Especially when the play clock is about to run out of them. As the dive inside, hit, smacked right at that 1-yard line. Dedrick Mills ran into a green shirt that just stood him up and set him back. Was that Quarterman? I believe it was. And did they get the first down? First down, Georgia Tech at the 1-yard line. 1st and goal.
You've got to hope to create a disturbance to put the ball on the ground because it's tough to stop this Georgia Tech offense inside the 2-yard line.
Mills is the B-back, the fullback behind Justin Thomas. Willis 3 near side. The motion man is J.J. Green. Into the end zone. Touchdown. Dedrick Mills and Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech won the battle of pad level right there, which they have the majority of the time in this drive.
Now, Dedrick Mills, the freshman from Wake Cross, Georgia, is having himself a game, and we have a player down on the field. Off in the center behind the referees from my view, so I can't pick up the number, but it is a Miami player. Don't want to misidentify the player that's down, so we'll wait on that. With the Miami medical staff there attending to him. Dedrick Mills, again, having a terrific game into the end zone again. And that capped off a 65-yard drive that took 5 minutes and 20 seconds off the clock for Georgia Tech. And it's potentially going to get them to within a touchdown. It was Zach McLeod, 53, the freshman, who is up.
The game plan for Paul Johnson is take time off the clock, run the ball, and score touchdowns. Check, check, and check on that last drive.
Yeah. So point after try here from Harrison Butker to make it a 7-point game. Noah penalties to set the drive back. Hung on to the ball. Nice drive all the way downfield into the end zone for the Jackets. Finale in the trio of top 10 showdowns after Wisconsin-Michigan later this afternoon from Ann Arbor. It's tonight in Clemson. Number 3 Louisville and number 5 Clemson in Death Valley. Stream both games live on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN. I asked you who you thought of between Wisconsin and Michigan earlier. How about Clemson and Louisville?
I tell you what, I like both teams. I'm enamored with Lamar Jackson, but I really, after Deshaun Watson is rounding into form, I think Clemson's a little bit better team. It's going to be very interesting, but it's at Clemson, so I like Clemson in this one.
The edge for home field. Kickoff down to the end zone. Miami will start from the 25-yard line with their third possession of this third quarter, and they have been 3 and out on both of their first 2.
Yeah, and now pressure starts to mount a little bit. As this game gets closer, Georgia Tech has got for drives now taking time off the clock and makes every possession that much more important for Miami. They need to answer right now with points and a drive.
Brad Kaya 7 of 11 for 84 yards passing. Again, they've only run 27 offensive plays in this whole ball game, 16 of them running. Yearby's got 63 yards on 6 carries. Walton has 27 yards on 9 carries. And so they start again at their 25-yard line with Yearby, the setback to the left of Brad Kaya. Not much doing. Deshaun Freeman, 42, again leading the charge in the center of that Tech defensive front.
They brought a guy, if he had sort of like his own blitz concept designed to stop run or pass. They can put more pressure. Like I said, second and long, third and long favors the defense. Miami should try to get half of it back or get to a manageable third down situation. Kaya in the gun now, obviously a lot of opportunities for the pass or the bubble screens.
Little home crowd pressure being applied also. Kaya throws with a receiver caught. Good yardage, moving the sticks. Amon Richards with his first catch of the day.
True freshman and their deep threat. They haven't targeted him a lot today, but that's a huge catch right there because they need yardage and points on this drive.
So Mark Richt on the sidelines calling plays for this Miami team. Something he said if he coached again, he wanted to be involved directly with the quarterbacks. He wanted to call plays. He's doing that again for Miami's offense this year. Kaya throws complete, first down and more. Richards again into Tech territory and more. Down to almost the 30-yard line before he's knocked out of bounds.
He's a speedster, and Lance Austin gave him a lot of cushion that time with good reason. But he was able to make the move underneath. You got to watch him, but he's starting to get warmed up. He's a guy who beats you over the top or underneath with speed.
Brad Kaya says having direct contact with the head coach every day has been fabulous. There's contact with Stacy Coley, and the Canes have a touchdown on a quick drive all the way downfield. Question asked and answered of this Miami offense. 75 yards in a hurry for the touchdown.
Watch him. He's right here. He's just going to go down and take that seam right there all the way across the field. Kaya hits him in stride. Nobody there, and then his speed, the afterburners come on right there.
So the senior from Pompano Beach, Stacy Coley, into the end zone, and now Badgley continues his consecutive point-after-try streak. And the Canes go back out to a 14-point lead. Well, the run wasn't getting to much, so Mark Richt dialed up the pass.
With
down the field they went. Yes, sir, they did. Stacy Coley into the touchdown for Miami. Back in Atlanta, where the very sizable crowd of Miami supporters who've made the journey to see the Canes take on Georgia Tech just got a thrill as Stacy Coley went into the end zone right in front of them and put the Miami team back out front by 14. Really, there, upper deck, far side, they're sprinkled all around the stadium. Some folks telling me there's a sizable number of Miami alum here in this Atlanta area. Of course, Atlanta being such a capital of business and industry that many live here.
Business and commerce, but you're right, they're sprinkled throughout the stands today. The difference in this game so far is Miami can score quickly via the explosive play. Georgia Tech has to work at it, so they have to make sure that they can take advantage of every possession they have also.
So they came out to start the second half. Pressure was on the Georgia Tech defense. They got the stop, got a couple of them, went down. The offense did, scored points, but now Miami squishing that bubble of hope that had begun to grow around Bobby Dodd Stadium. Can the Tech offense get back downfield and get the fans back into it again? Justin Thomas to throw. In trouble. And will be tripped up as he tried to make something out of it. Trent Harris, 33, got a hold of his feet.
Credit the Miami defense. Paul Johnson is having to call more passes on first down. Normally he would like to run and only throw passes when he needs to. He's throwing passes on first down to loosen up this defense, but there, great coverage, and finally the continual pressure caused the negative play.
7th tackle for loss for Miami. They have been terrific at that so far this season. So 2nd and 11 now for the Tech offense. Thomas to pitch to Searcy. Pursued inside out. Nice run there to the far side by Jamal Carter. 6 for the Canes, and it brings up 3rd down.
This isn't really 3rd and long. This is 3rd and somewhat manageable for Georgia Tech, but it's a lot longer than they'd like to be. Nice rally response from Miami defense on the pitch.
Remember, Paul Johnson's team will go for it on 4th down just about from anywhere on the field. Trailing by 14 here. We'll see if it's 4-down territory for them.
He says it's a feel thing. If he likes the play and feels good about it, he can call it anyway.
Play clock at 5. Thomas, backside pressure coming. Will keep it. Knocked out of bounds, just shy of the line to gain. It's going to be 4th down and about 2. Rayshawn Jenkins pursued him to the near sidelines. So 4th and 2. And it looks like the punt team is gathering to come onto the field for Georgia Tech. Ryan Rodwell will do so. Keep your eye on 48 Chase Alford. He's one of the 3 in the middle part of the punt formation. He does have 1 carry this season from that formation. Not this time. Kicks it away. Fair catch signal for. Barrios brings it in at his own 28-yard line. A look at the college football rankings presented by Allstate. Ohio State up big. A lot of games coming up later on tonight. And a couple of real critical games that we've been talking about.
Yeah, that Stanford and Washington are probably going to flip. Stanford's probably going to drop out after sort of waking up last night and finding themselves in a nightmare in Washington.
They did. Where do you see Washington?
I think the Huskies are going to jump up 3 or 4 notches. I think that was a quality win. They've beaten everybody they've had to beat so far this year, but that was one that's going to get national attention.
And I agree with what Chris Peterson said after the game. What an atmosphere. Those Washington fans were cranked up. So Brad Kaya and the Hurricane offense back on the field, leading by 14. A minute to go, 3rd quarter, the first Coastal Division game of the season. For both teams, first ACC game of the season for Miami. Kaya will throw, complete for 1st down yardage, and more. Braxton Berrios. All the way out across midfield before he's dragged down from behind by Patrick Gamble.
3 things there. Kaya's getting great protection. He's able to sit in the pocket, let the routes develop down the field. He's making an accurate throw, but Barrios looked like a punt returner, which he is on that play. Came out of nowhere, breaks some tackles, makes some more yards.
Kaya 11 of 15 on the day now. 181 yards and counting. Handoff here. Coming near side, Mark Walton fights for a tough yard or 2, maybe, as we check back in with Chris Cotter.
No tough yards in Stillwater. They're pretty easy to come by here in this game between Oklahoma State and Texas. Mason Rudolph finding Jalen McCleskey here. Shakes off a tackle, splits a couple of others. He's going to score. Oklahoma State extending their lead now to 12 on ABC.
All right, Chris, so a lot to keep an eye on this afternoon. That Notre Dame-Syracuse game has been back and forth. Iowa State-Baylor's closer than one might have expected. And we reach the end of the 3rd quarter. A period in which the teams tacked onto their point total, but the gap between them remains the same. Tech rounding out a long drive. Miami with a quick strike, and it's 35-21 headed to the fourth.
Back to Atlanta, Miami leads at 35-21. When Brad Kaya was a true freshman, he used to practice calling plays into his bathroom mirror. He said he wanted to gain the confidence so that he knew he could call it at the line of scrimmage. He says he doesn't do that anymore, but he does do a lot of visualization. When he's walking around campus, sometimes even in the classroom, he'll be thinking about plays. So teachers, if you ever see his eyes closed in class, don't worry, he's just going through the playbook. So he said.
Yeah, he wanted to emphasize that. Nice defensive play by Antonio Simmons in the Miami backfield. So Brad Kaya threw his 50th career touchdown pass earlier in this game. That moves him into third all-time at Miami. Think about quarterback U. He trails only Ja'Cory Harris in second and Ken Dorsey, the all-time leader in Miami touchdown passes.
I recruited those guys. I like them. They're great quarterbacks. I also had some quarterbacks after practice voicing out the cadence because their voice wasn't deep enough. I had to make them yell louder.
They were freshmen,
They were freshmen.
Yes. So third down here for the Canes. Hit as he throws, and incomplete. Into the defensive backfield, Antonio Simmons again with a play for Georgia Tech. And it's fourth down.
We take a look. He's going to come out over here over the right tackle area. Take a look and see as the play develops. Makes the inside move, a little speed move. Just can't handle him. Gets him going up the field, duck under. One of the great moves. Once you get him moving back, those big guys on the edge aren't quite as mobile.
So two big defensive plays by Antonio Simmons on that drive. And now the Miami punter, Justin Vogel, will try and pin the Jackets deep. They come after it. Don't quite get there. With the pressure, enough to force the punt to be angled toward the sideline. Waiting for the spot, waiting for the spot. They'll spot it at the 20. That's where Georgia Tech's offense will take over. Tonight after Arizona and UCLA, it's Sports Center at night. Lisa Kearney and John Buchagras will have all the highlights from today in college football. The baseball pennant races, day 2 at the Ryder Cup. Plus, get you ready for Sunday NFL and everything else for the busy day in sports. Sports Center at night after college football on ESPN. And of course, streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. We talk so much about the Heisman Trophy throughout the year. Of course, named for the former Georgia Tech coach, John Heisman. Memorialized not just by the trophy, but by a statue outside the stadium here. Head coach for the most lopsided football game in college football history. 222-0 in favor of Georgia Tech. Thomas stumbling as he pitches, but gets it outside. This is Marcus Marshall. Almost out to midfield before he steps out of bounds.
If you take one step the wrong direction on defense, and we take a look right here, can't quite get there. That angle changed it. One step the other direction, and now you don't have the speed to run the alley.
So massive gain of 27 for Georgia Tech. And for the sophomore from Raleigh, Marcus Marshall, spot the ball at the 47-yard line and a fresh set of downs for the Jackets. Thomas will keep one of the rare times all day, if not just the second time I believe he's run with the ball. He'll get 11 yards on the carry and move the sticks again for the Ramblin' Wreck.
The Ramblin' Wreck right now is rambling. They've got a chance. They've got the number. They're going, changing up the look and changing up the launch point for the quarterback in terms of where he's running or pitching. And that's good against the Miami defense.
Correct myself there, Coach. That was Thomas's first carry all day. All the other situations he got dropped in the backfield were passing situations. Pitches to Clinton Lynch, but he's stacked up there. Nice fighting through the block by the outside of the Miami defense as we check quickly with Chris Cotter.
Baylor continues to struggle in Ames. Mike Warren, this is his second rushing touchdown of the day for the Cyclones. Iowa State extends their lead now 35-21. Seth Russell, 4 completions midway through the third quarter in this one, guys.
Just making sure I heard correctly. Iowa State extends its lead on Baylor. Okay.
Yeah, that's scary right there.
There's your headline of the day so far. Under pressure, Thomas caught from behind, balls on the ground again. Miami's got it. Wait, one referee started pointing toward Miami. The other referee signaling Georgia Tech's got it. And in fact, the Tech center, Freddie Burden, comes up with it. Apologies if I misinterpreted the referee's arm motion.
That may be one of Freddie Bird's best plays of the day. It's a play action pass. That alarm clock goes off in his head, but just not fast enough. And I'm not sure what he was doing, whether he was thinking about throwing it away or just trying to cover it up, but he's got to be better in the pocket with the ball.
You think by now he'd have gotten the message to protect that ball when things start to get tight around it.
Ball security is key.
So the loss sets up 3rd and 14.
Look at Paul Johnson on it. He walked onto the field to get a better look and to call the right play. That was really interesting.
Thomas under pressure again. Throws downfield with a receiver. Sliding catch. Brad Stewart right at the marker. Going to be close.
He was down, but I think he's just slightly short based on the mark that I can see, but maybe not.
A half a yard, if anything. They'll stop the clock and check.
Really interesting as they're checking this to see Paul Johnson. He walked about 5 yards out on the field so he can get a better look from the quarterback's angle behind the offense to see what the defense was doing, what they're aligned in, and what play he wanted to call.
No question they go for it on 4th down if they're short here.
No question at all. Down 2 scores at this point.
Do they get it, or how much are they short by? Missed it by that much.
Not a football.
So 4th down. They have gone for it on 4th down one time today. They did convert.
And I did believe they did the pitch. They didn't test the interior of the line. They took it right to the edge. So we'll see. The thing is, you always have to play for the dive first, the quarterback second, and the pitch third, which causes you to be a little bit late sometimes getting that pitch in this short yardage situation.
You really can't change how you play this option in that situation. So 4th down and less than a yard. Dedrick Mills will be the B-back behind quarterback Justin Thompson. Paul Johnson out there in the middle of his team's huddle as they reset the chains and whistle the play clock in. Huge moment in the ball game right here.
Difference maker for both teams.
And get off to Mills. Puts a hand on the ground to keep from getting knocked down and gets the first down for Georgia Tech.
That was a great job because he might have been tripped up right at the line of scrimmage, but watch him attack the line of scrimmage and use that other arm, the one not carrying the football, for balance. Great job here. There he makes the first guy miss and then just gets more yard. He only needed a football's length.
Got that hand down quickly and kept himself driving forward. Tech at the 28-yard line of Miami. Thomas throws, looking for it all. And knocked away. Ricky June had his hands on it and defended there nicely in the Miami defensive backfield to knock the ball away. Corn Elder with the defensive play for the
Corn
Canes.
Elder, their best cover guy. Here we see the pass coming down the field. June goes up and has it briefly right there, but Elder goes up and rips and strips it out before he can make contact with the ground. Tremendous job on defense to rip the ball out of the receiver's hands.
Elder, the senior from Nashville, their best cover guy. Manny Diaz saying he's playing at a high level this year. Showed it there. So 2nd and 10 for the Jackets. Thomas keeps. Cuts back. Down to about the 22-yard line. It'll set up a 3rd down and about 4 or 5 for Georgia Tech.
The other thing about Corn Elder, he's an acknowledged cover guy, but he's a better tackler this year, playing a more physical game, a total game of football. A lot of pro scouts like him a lot.
So on 3rd down in this game for Tech, they are 3 of 9. And again, still in 4-down territory for them. Game clock now under 10 minutes to go as they trail by 14. Thomas with the pitch. Marshall again. Stacked up, strung out, knocked down by Rayshawn Jenkins, who came up from his free safety spot, and it brings up 4th down again.
I love that. Stacked up, strung out. I think that's exactly a description of what happened on that play. Now brings up a 4th down where the entire field has to be defended by Miami from both a pass and run standpoint. Very difficult advantage Georgia Tech.
Thomas throws toward the end zone. Ball is bouncing free and hits the ground. Incomplete. Clinton Lynch and Rayshawn Jenkins were there. I thought Lynch had it for a moment, but as they rolled around, the ball came out, and it goes over to Miami on downs.
Very close play, highly contested football. We can see both guys go for it right here. In the receiver's hands briefly, but ripped out by the defensive back. Tremendous job again by the Miami defense.
Week 4 Monday Night Football features Eli Manning and the New York Giants taking on the undefeated Minnesota Vikings at the new US Bank Stadium in downtown Minneapolis, 8:15 Eastern, ESPN. Coverage starting, of course, with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's at 6, and it always streams live on Watch ESPN. Boys, in that stadium, some kind of beautiful.
Absolutely. I tell you, I worked with Eli Manning at the Manning Passing Academy. He and I taught the 5-step drop. The kids listened to him more than they did to me.
How about Sam Bradford shining for the Vikings? As Brad Kaya throws, dumps it off to his tight end, Christopher Herndon. He's got yardage down the sideline. One man to beat in a big collision, but Lance Austin knocks him out of bounds. Massive play for the Hurricanes.
Moving the pocket, sometimes they don't always do with Brad Kaya. That's not his forte, but there's a nice job just jumping off to Herndon right there. You see, now watch him run through this tackle, tiptoe the sideline, and then show the speed that makes him a difficult matchup for the Georgia Tech defense.
Herndon with a big play on a game here in his home area. He's from Norcross, Georgia. Norcross High School. And a 48-yard gain for Miami. Talk about a momentum swing. Stopping Georgia Tech on 4 downs, getting the ball back, going 48 yards on the 1st down. And they're down inside the 30-yard line as we check with Chris Cotter.
All right, Alan, Jonathan Vilma's here with me. Let's talk about Texas and Oklahoma State first. Vilma, here's a pick by Shane Buechele, and they can't afford this.
No, they can't. That's the quickest way to lose a game on the road, turning the ball over, hostile environment. Unfortunately for Texas, they got to come back and find a way to win.
Come back in a hurry. They're down big. Baylor was down, but here Russell finds Chris Platt for the score, so Baylor's hanging in there on the road.
An interesting day in the Big 12 for sure. Sure to be an interesting day overall in college football when you think about all the various matchups still to come today. 2nd and 6 for Miami. And whistle and a play clock that went down to 0. Did they get the timeout first?
Miami.
They did.
They're first. Full timeout.
Mark Richt signals the timeout. He'll talk about it with his team. Celebrating its 12th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, All-State making contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, All-State contributing millions to scholarship funds across the nation. No field goals in this one, but what, 8-point after tries knocked into the nets today? Well, would you believe this was a 7-0 game at the end of the first quarter?
Those defensive touchdowns have been the difference and still remain the difference in this game.
There's Gus Edwards with the carry for the Canes. Close to 1st down yardage. Late flag comes in. Actually, 2 flags. One down in the offensive backfield. Another thrown at the point of the tackle late. So may have 2 separate fouls here that David Epperly and our ACC officiating crew will sort out. Haven't seen a lot of penalties in this game, but a couple of critical ones on Georgia Tech's offense have stalled drives earlier in the first half.
Hurt them badly.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both on the offense. 1 live ball, 1 dead ball. They will both be enforced. Personal foul, illegal block below the waist on the offense, number 86. After the play was over, personal foul, offense number 86. 30 yards in total penalty, second down.
So David Njoku, the junior tight end, tagged twice.
Watch him right here. He's going to try to block and cut off. He goes down low there, which is legal at that point. Then he comes back in and just does the late hit. And I'm not sure what the block or the waist was or whatever, but the reality is that last one cost him. That's a huge penalty. I mean, you talk about, whoa, I can't even count. How many yards is that?
Well, 30 yards in penalties there.
Yeah, so.
Up to that point, Miami had only been tagged for one penalty in the whole game.
Beyond my human abacus right there.
I know, you ran out of fingers and toes.
Yes.
I was a little worried when you started peeling off the shoes and socks there. So the Canes all the way back on their own side of the field at the 43-yard line. They need to get to the 21 of Georgia Tech. Walton's carry, P.J. Davis on the stop. Third down. And here's where I take off all my shoes and socks to count third to go. Yeah. Well, I'll just let our graphics gang do it. How far we got to go here, gang? 33, all right.
Georgia Tech back in the prevent defense, only rushing 3, playing 8 in coverage. Just going to let them do anything they want underneath, but tackle the football. Don't let anybody get behind you.
Pressure, Kaya dumps it off. Got some running room. They've got a lot of white jerseys closing on Mark Walton. And he'll be stopped just outside the 40-yard line at about the 41. And it'll bring up fourth down for Miami.
Nice job of creating pressure with only a 3-man rush and then converging on the running back, keeping them out of field goal territory. You're talking about they were starting inside the 30-yard line with obviously a minimum field goal of what they wanted, now forced to punt the ball.
Yeah, it'd be a 58-yarder if they tried to kick it from there. So they'll send the punter, Justin Vogel, on to try and pin the Jackets down deep. Less than 6 to go, leading by 14.
The Jackets have blocked 16 kicks since 2003, most in the nation. Gosh,
well, he was pushed into it. The referee quickly signals fair catch made at the 4-yard line. And so that is where Georgia Tech will take over the ball. Those are the Miami supporters in the corner of the stadium, I believe, with the ooh. But quickly, the referee signaling pushed into the kicker right there. See the signal, top left. There's your situation. Georgia Tech trailing Miami by 14, 5.5 to go in this fourth quarter. Of course, Georgia Tech just had the ball for a 5-minute offensive possession and got no points. Turned it over on downs to Miami. They're not known for being a quick strike, are they?
No, and that's the worst thing that can happen to them. They're a no-huddle team, but they're not a quick strike team. They have to work for it. They want to get in the right play. They're going to have to go away from their general operating principles.
Their comfort zone. That'll be half the distance to the goal. Little flinch.
Start. Offense, number 1. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Play Searcy. Paul Johnson says, just run the same play we just called again.
You know that signal.
I do, yeah. Well, as we know, he shuttles players in and out on every play with the play call, kind of old school. But that time he told Searcy to stay in there. Gave that, do it again. From his own end zone, Thomas throws. Has Searcy. Gave up a couple yards, was as far forward as the 10. Dropped a couple when Sheldrick Redwine got a hold of him. And so it sets up now second down for the Jackets. They've got a lot of field to cover and not a lot of time to do it in.
Nice open field tackle, and you're right. Right now, Miami's going to be content on defense. Tackle the ball inbounds, just keep that clock running. Nothing over your head.
Al Carter, Rashawn Jenkins back in the safety positions. There's a back shoulder throw. Tried to get it out to the outside to Mikel Lance-Davis. Ball not really reachable by him. And he was well covered by Cornelder also.
As you said already, this is not their forte. They don't really want to be throwing every down. They want to keep the defense honest.
The first thing they got to do is they've got to gain about 7 more yards here to keep this drive going. Gonna tuck it and run. Well sniffed out and read by Cornelder. He had his eyes on the quarterback all the way and closed that gap in a hurry.
And I'm guessing he was sort of in a spy mode or watching the quarterback athlete for athlete, make sure if they had a quarterback draw or scramble, he was going to cancel it, which he did.
So the punt team comes on, to the dismay of some of the local fans, but you're backed up to your own goal line.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I'm not sure I would trust going for it on 4th down here.
So Ryan Rodwell kicks. Braxton Berrios signals for the fair catch and takes it at the Georgia Tech 49-yard line. Here are the 2 plays that turn this whole game around.
Trent Harris coming off the edge, gets a free shot on the quarterback, falls on the ground, and Shaq Quarterman scoop and score. He's in the country, take it to the house, and then falls on the ground again. Joe Jackson, great bounce to him, and another true freshman scoring the touchdown, the difference in this football game.
So those plays turn the whole game around. Miami scoring 21 points in 1:38. 14 of them off turnovers. Those 2 fumbles and scoop and scores came just after Miami scored an offensive touchdown. And that really has been the only thing, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but the only thing that separated Tech and Miami today. If you look at the stats, Tech's done what it wanted to do.
I agree 100%. Those 2 mistakes have cost them, and that's the difference in the game.
Now Miami on to try and grind the middle clock. Joseph Yearby running into one of his own players as he tried to sidestep and fell down. And timeout signaled here by Georgia Tech.
Timeout.
We'll try and stall a little clock here. Of course, our top 10 matchups still to come today. College football on the ESPN networks, particularly on ABC today. Wisconsin, Michigan, 3:30 Eastern, 8 versus 4 in Ann Arbor. Then tonight, up the highway a little bit in Clemson. Louisville and Clemson, 3 versus 5 in the ACC. Both games streaming on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN app. No questioning that Jim Harbaugh has made a big difference in this Wolverine program in a short period of time. Got him into the top 5 in rankings. Now we find out where they really are.
Well, I think he's done a great job. He's a great recruiter. He's obviously very innovative in that regard. He's also a great football coach and can get it done on the field.
So the Wolverines and the Badgers. And how about Paul Christ and his team just picking apart Sparty last week? Where are they?
I think Wisconsin is better than think. I think that game, Michigan-Wisconsin, will be very close down to the end.
Yeah. Should be a very entertaining one to watch. There's Yearby far sides. Wrapped up there. Lance Austin was the first one to get a hold of him. Timeout Georgia Tech as they try and save all the clock they can. So
Timeout Georgia Tech. Their second. 30-second timeout.
So we came into this game with 2 main themes and questions. How would Georgia Tech respond to the Clemson beatdown a week ago, and are the Canes for real? Let's start with the first one. How did Tech respond after getting just dismantled last week?
I think very well. If you take out those 2 defensive touchdowns and 2 self-inflicted wounds with the ball on the ground, they've run the ball well, they've controlled the game, they've played basically even in terms of offensively. So I think they came back. I'm not sure, though, on the second question in terms of Miami, that we can say they're the same level as Clemson yet. Clemson was, when Clemson played Georgia Tech, it was not a football game. This has been a football game, and certainly Miami is back and maybe the team to beat in the Coastal Division.
Now, that was my next question, is this Coastal Division seems to be so wide open. North Carolina playing Florida State coming up 3:30 Eastern. That one will be a good one. And, of course, then Miami and Florida State in the big rivalry game. That's next weekend down in South Florida.
That always gets them going.
And the Tech defense get the stop on 3rd and long. Kaya hit as he throws, and the ball falls incomplete. And it will bring up 4th down.
That was not exactly what Mark Richt and Miami wanted to do. No, they wanted to run the ball. They didn't want to go out of bounds, but they didn't want to have to go to a 3rd and long and throw the ball on 3rd down, which now stopped the clock. Sprinting Kai out, we've talked about before, that's not his strength. He's not fast enough or nimble enough in the open field. That ball was almost tipped enough to be intercepted. So I'm sure Mark Richt's going to go back and say we need to do a better job in 1st and 2nd down when we're trying to run our 4-minute offense to put the game away.
So now can Justin Vogel, the Cane punter, pin Tech back deep again like he did on the last one. Movement and whistles, and they'll stop it.
Offense, number 57, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
So back it up, and we'll try again with 3:56 to go in this game. For Mark Richt, his young defense, particularly the linebackers, certainly got a lesson in playing the triple option. A lot of them had no experience against what was going to come at them and come at them very quickly by Georgia Tech's offense today. They acquitted themselves fairly well.
They did. I think they handled the run for the most part well. Justin Thomas was very accurate throwing the ball today, other than putting the ball on the ground and helping that defense. I think the defense is going to come of age a little bit.
Brad Stewart finally chased down from behind after a nice return. It was Jaquan Johnson who finally caught up to him and made the hit. So pretty good field position for the Georgia Tech offense here. As Paul Johnson sends Justin Thomas back onto the field. Look at the breakdown on the day.
Well, we talk about the fullback dive. You got to keep running it no matter what the yards. The quarterback hasn't done much, but the pitch to the tailback, the wingback guys, the A-backs in this offense has done the most amount of damage. 174 yards on the day.
And they've been pretty effective throwing the ball, Tech has. And that's the part of what the triple option opens up, is when you do throw it, it sets you up because it's not what's expected from you. A little more expected now. Pocket collapsing. Thomas will tuck it and run. Out near midfield, he'll have close to first down yardage. In fact, they will give him the spot. Stop the clock briefly while they spot the ball. And a fresh set of downs.
We've got to congratulate the Georgia Tech defense who held Miami. Miami was thinking about running out the clock. Now Georgia Tech has a chance, at least, to come back and fight for this game.
Had two shots down deep toward the end zone on that last drive that the offense had, as Ricky June pulls that one in. Short gain, about 6 or 7, clock running. Those two shots into the end zone before that were close.
Close throws. They weren't great throws, but they were very well defended. But both hit the receiver's hands. They had chances to catch them. If they get those opportunities now, Georgia Tech's receivers have to make plays.
This throws quickly again to June. They'll mark that one as complete. Inside the 40 to the 39. And a first down for Georgia Tech.
When you're in this situation, down 2 scores, time is of the essence. You tell your receivers, running backs, quarter, no sacks, get a first down, touchdown, or out of bounds.
Thomas going to throw, looking in the vicinity of June. But I'll tell you what, if June had caught that one, Jamal Carter had radar lock on him.
Well, he disrupted that route, didn't allow him to get clean into that hole between the safety and the corner. Pretty good throw, but the receiver was being jammed a little bit. Nice job on the defensive side.
So the rare huddle here by the Tech offense. 2:41 to go, down 2 scores.
They're not fooling anybody now. Every play becomes important. They want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, if the clock stopped when they incomplete, why not? Take a minute, regroup. Thomas heaves it near side. June fighting there. Incomplete. That was Adrian Colbert for Miami.
That was close to pass interference. There was some hand fighting going on. I thought the receiver was trying to get back to the ball. I thought the defensive back was just trying to impede the receiver. Wing watches at the bottom of the screen. They're coming out. See the ball thrown here. Yeah, I think that should have been called. I'm actually surprised. It's a bad no call.
Brings up 3rd and 10.
It doesn't really matter. We're in 2 down territory, 4 down territory.
Miami bringing some pressure. Ball tipped. Far side, Chad Thomas got a hand up on the pass, and it sets up 4th and long. Manny Diaz says Chad Thomas is emerging into leadership on the field for this Miami defense. Mark Richt says he's becoming explosive. The junior from Booker T. Washington High School, one of the great and famed high school football programs in South Florida, having a great season.
Well, one of the best pass rushers and playmakers, but he also came into this game 2nd leading tackler on the team. So he's doing it all.
So fans from the U in the corner trying to make some noise. It's 4th down and 10. Thomas just heaves it into space. It's intercepted easily. Michael Pinckney, the only one there. He drops to the ground. And Miami will be in possession of the ball with 2:21 to go.
Yeah, there was so much pressure, it's hard to tell, but that pass actually looked like it was thrown to Pinckney. I didn't see another receiver in that vicinity. Thomas trying to buy time. just finding nobody to throw the ball.
So the freshman linebackers for Miami have had a big day. 3 turnovers. They've been involved in 2 of them. The Quarterman scoop and score earlier. Pinckney with the interception there. And actually the other scoop and score was by another true freshman, Joe Jackson, one of the up front guys. So the young ones having a fine time in Atlanta today.
I'd say they came of age today. We're not out of here yet, though, because Georgia Tech still has a timeout. Miami's got to work on that 4-minute offense, get more productive in the running game so they don't have to throw the ball.
Wes Williams will lead into the hole. Mark Walton will go the other way, looking for some running room. Won't find much. Coming up next, Michigan and Wisconsin over on ABC. Here on ESPN2, number 15, Nebraska tries to stay undefeated at home in Lincoln with Illinois coming to town in Big Ten play. So the Hurricanes with their first ACC game of this season. Inside 2 to go, up by 14. When we had Butch Davis and Jonathan Vilma on earlier, I didn't want to mention the Florida State game because nobody wants to look ahead. But Florida State is next for Miami. The big rivalry game in South Florida. Timeout called. It should be Georgia Tech's last timeout.
Georgia Tech.
And it is. Look at the schedule. Now that they got their non-conference play out of the way. Florida State, North Carolina, at Virginia Tech, at Notre Dame, Pittsburgh. Doesn't get any easier the road ahead for the Canes.
No, I'll tell you what, that is a very tough schedule. Very tough 4 consecutive weeks of playing people in Florida State. I'm not sure what to think about them, in all honesty.
Yeah.
I think they've recovered a little bit from that beatdown they got, but the reality is they're still one of the most quality football teams and have the best recruits in the nation. Virginia Tech playing better. Notre Dame, not sure about Notre Dame, but Pittsburgh I like, and Pittsburgh is a tough football team that can run the ball. James Conner coming back, what a boon to that team he has been.
Notre Dame up by 20 on Syracuse. The Florida State-North Carolina game comes up next at 3:30 Eastern over on ESPN. And the time and network for Florida State and Miami will be determined later on tonight. One of the 6-day picks in the television process, if you will. So stay tuned to find out where and what time you can see that game next weekend. Did he get the first? Yes, first down Miami, as Mark Walton gets the yards needed, and so the clock will run now inside of a minute and a half to go.
Nice job by Walton. We talked about the fact that he presses that line of scrimmage, but he also finds the open gap, got the necessary yardage to almost put this game away.
So Mark Richt will stay undefeated as a head coach here in Bobby Dodd Stadium. Never lost here to Georgia Tech as the head man down the road in Athens in Georgia. And he will come on here for the first time as the head man of the Miami program and pick up a win.
Put the play clock at 40 seconds. Start both on my signal.
Now we'll be 9-0 all time at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Will Coach Richt be? He talked to us about, you know, the process and the challenges of coming in and taking over this Miami program and trying to establish the program in the mold that he wanted it to. And one of the big things he said to us was consistency of message. All of his coaches and all of his staff all on the same page. And so whether it's a walk-on player or one of the stars of the program, they're delivering the same message consistently to the players. And so the players all understand. If they say A, then it means A.
That's exactly right. A culture of character. And the consistency of message is important. A lot of people have worked with him. Manny Diaz, he knows from before. And the reality is he has his players believing that's important to do the right thing, not just on the field, but off the field as well.
So Miami goes to 4-0 with a win on the road at Georgia Tech. 35-21 will be the final score. Georgia Tech will fall to 3-2. Doesn't get any easier for the Yellow Jackets as they head up to Pitt next for a game next Saturday as ACC play continues. So 2 scoop and scores were the difference in the game. Other than that, Georgia Tech played Miami fairly evenly. But those two opportunistic touchdowns by the Miami defense are the difference in the day. And Chris is now with Coach Richt.
Well, Coach, let's talk first about your defense. Given all the injuries, the personnel changes, what did they prove to you today?
Well, they're well coached. They're playing hard. You know, we had obviously some opportunistic plays that put points on the board, which is rare. It happens rarely to have two like that in the same game. But just really proud of all of them.
As you enter the tough part of your schedule, you said there were several things you wanted to improve upon. Now that you've won your first big test, what's your assessment of your team right now?
Well, we won the game. You know, you kind of win and move on. And when it comes time for trying to become division champions, and that's what everybody's doing in the ACC, SEC, everybody. Everybody's trying to win their division. We've played our first one, and we're 1-0, so we're thankful.
Appreciate the time. Good job.
Yeah, it'll be a happy flight down to South Florida for Mark Richt and the Hurricanes as they walk away from Atlanta with a 35-21 ACC win over Georgia Tech. College football scoreboard presented by Honda is next. So long from Atlanta.